streaming going here. Okay, I'm gonna wait for it to start just for a few seconds. Okay, so the first question is from Abhay Krishna. He says, I was wondering if you could speak on a little bit about a subject I recall you mentioning in a class a little while ago. He's paraphrasing what you said. The subject being the idea that we are actually in the Leela right now, as in the extension of Mahaprabhu's Leela in our Sadhaka Leela. I think naturally devotees can feel like we are in a completely different and separate reality than Krishna, which is true from one angle of vision, but from another angle of vision, there is nothing but Krishna, and even if we are very far from the center of reality, Golok, we are still connected. And also, we are literally touched by the direct descent of Mahaprabhu and his Leela here. The spiritual emotions that erupted from his heart and spread to anyone who came in contact have made their way to our own hearts and are working to melt our hearts so we can play our own part in his Leela. And each sadhaka's journey from initial faith to prem is a miracle and something that could be written about to inspire the world. Not because we are special, but because anything Krishna touches becomes special. It might not seem that way in the beginning when we still have so many attachments, but if we are sincere on the path and accepting of the grace of Guru, are we not on the first chapters of our entry into the still unfolding chapters of Mahaprabhu's Leela here on earth? So I was just wondering if you could expand and correct where necessary this line of thinking, as I do find it comforting and exciting to think in this way, but I wonder if there is some danger too, as you see people who take this too far and start looking for rasa dance in the material world or something like that. Thank you so much for your guidance.
Well, I think that it's quite accurate in a sense to look at the continued unfolding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dispensation, even as it contracts at times and expands and contracts and expands. What I mean by that, for example, at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, when was in the world, it was obviously expanding, and it contracted to some extent in terms of its being circulated further or widely after his disappearance, although during that period, after his disappearance, which is often thought of as the time when the devotees were immersed in separation, understandably, but it did give rise to many books in the later part of the 16th century. That are core texts of our Sampradaya. That's an aside there, but going forward then, when you come to the later part of the 18th century, the 19th century, the dispensation, and to bring full to our present more to the time of Bhakti Vinod, the 20th century, and somewhat the 19th century, the later part there, it was contracting. So it expands, it contracts, Prabhupada Maharaj was part of a huge expansion initiated, if you will, by put in motion by Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And so it may expand and contract, but anyway, the ongoing unfolding of the dispensation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which I want to say, even as it contracts, it may very well be expanding in ways that we are not aware of. And by that, I mean to say that we are very much much at the beginning of a paradigm shift in philosophy in the world today, in terms of the world's philosophers, thinkers, and the scientific community, who have been for quite some time preoccupied with and have embraced materialism as a philosophy, the idea that there's nothing more to ourselves than physical ingredients. There is no self, no enduring self, no self independent of the body. Even the mind is thought to be just part of the brain. This very, very dominant philosophical perspective that filters down effects of the world, even people who aren't thinking very much deeply about life, its purpose, its meaning. They are unknowingly become influenced by this kind of dominant perspective. And that is changing.
Todo eso está cambiando.
And it's changing because it's impossible to
Está cambiando
reduce
porque es imposible
or
reducir
explain consciousness
o explicar
as
la conciencia
the workings of or an
como si
emergent property
fuera
of the brain.
una propiedad
It's
emergente
not.
del cerebro, porque
And
no lo es.
try as they have been for the last
Por
several
mucho que hayan
decades,
intentado
they're really
durante
coming up short in the
estos
scientific
años,
community. So there's a
se
shift
quedaron
that's going
cortos.
on. Shift,
Entonces,
and the shift is moving in the direction of
la visión filosófica y
a very
científica se
core
está
and basic
mudando
tenet
y hacia
of Gaudiya Vaishnavism,
una
which is a
enseñanza
core
muy
tenet of all
básica de lo
schools
que es el
of Vedanta,
Vaishnavismo
that
Gaudiya y de
consciousness
todas las escuelas de
is
Vedanta,
the
que
underlying
la conciencia
reality.
es la realidad
Now it will go in the direction of
primaria, primera,
Mayavad.
y puede que estén
That would be
yendo
more popular
a una
at first,
dirección
but
más de
as it
Mayavad,
shifts and people
pero conforme va
come to
cambiando,
more readily embrace a more idealistic or idealism, kind of perspective. That matter is an idea, matter comes out of consciousness and so forth.
pero se están
Then,
haciendo como más
then the
idealistas, o sea, que la
groundwork
materia es una
that has
idea
been laid
que viene de
by
la
our
conciencia.
Sampradaya, particularly by
Y luego
my Guru
también
Maharaj,
en nuestro
for
Sampradaya
other
y
schools of
particularmente en el trabajo de mi
Vedanta
Guru Maharaj,
that are all theistic, and
por
ultimately
ejemplo, hay
Chaitanya
otras escuelas de
Vaishnavism,
Vedanta,
Gaudiya Vedanta,
de matriz
then it becomes a
teísta,
very interesting and charming time to discuss the nature of consciousness when it's already accepted that consciousness does not matter, and we are consciousness constituted.
nos
Consciousness is
encontramos
the underlying
en este
reality and
clima
so forth.
donde es más fácil
Some of the things that are
hablar
harder sells,
de la
if you will,
naturaleza del ser, de la conciencia,
to the
cuando la
public
conciencia ya se
when trying
encuentra,
to
digamos,
explain Krishna consciousness to them,
aceptada
because it's so
como
high
concepto por parte de
theistically
del mundo
speaking.
filosófico
It would be much
científico.
easier to sell, to market, to
Nos
explain to
vamos a
people
encontrar más
when it's
facilitados
understood
en
and
vender
embraced
este
that
concepto de la
consciousness is
conciencia, del ser,
an underlying reality.
ya que
It's
mucha
independent of the
gente
brain,
está
it's
aceptando que es,
independent of the mind, and so forth.
que es la,
Obviously, I'm speaking in a
la
long and
capa
roundabout way to answer your question,
básica
but
bajo la
this is
realidad que
something that's going
conocemos.
on, and we would look at it like this is all part of the dispensation of
Y
Chaitanya
como lo vemos
Mahaprabhu.
nosotros,
It's very incredible what
parte del
Prabhupada
don
did with
de
regard to
Chaitanya
Vedanta in
Mahaprabhu.
Indology, for
Y es
example,
muy
establishing.
interesante ver lo que hizo Srila
He is
Prabhupada
to be
a
credited
nivel
for in our Paribar, coming from
académico.
Bhakti
Todos los
Vinod, for this
etnólogos
breaking of the monopoly of Advaita
ahora se encuentran
Vedanta
influenciados
on
por
what Hinduism is all about,
digamos, el
and
trabajo
again,
de Srila
showcasing other
Prabhupada,
forms of
que vino
Vedanta and so
a
on.
contribuir con el
That'll all
aspecto
surface
teísta del
again and
Vedanta,
have
porque
more
antes de él se conocía solo el aspecto
credibility and so forth, and more,
Advaita
gain more
en el mundo
interest
académico.
as again the world moves in the direction is going toward, in which consciousness is accepted as the ultimate reality. So, just an aside there, I think that even as it seems to contract at times. It's going on another level and will resurface. And the works that are of my Guru Maharaj and the Bhaktivinoda Parivar, what they've done, contribute, will be appreciated only that much more. So to look at all this unfolding of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vedanta in the world as an ongoing extension of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, fair enough. Given that, in particular, we accept the representatives of the lineage to have the standing in that reality. And of course, I should mention also that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he would remain in the world in the form of his name and Murti, deity, and Chaitanya Bhagavat. So it continues on, but when we, so ourselves, how much are we members of the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then? Well, as much as we are applying ourselves to the actual practices, corresponding lifestyle, and so forth, and as much as you're doing that, there won't be much question in your mind. This is what I'm a member of. These are the things that I identify with. These things are real to me. They're exciting to me. To read Prabhupada was reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita on the boat, Jaladuta coming across it. This is the nectar, that he was living on. Well, physically speaking, he was quite ill, suffered a heart attack, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, the Leela is there to participate in, and as much as we apply ourselves in connection with Guru Parampara, then, as I've often said, there are three types of jivas. There's the Bada Jiva, who has eternally been conditioned since the time without beginning. There's the Nitya Mukta, the eternally liberated Jiva, and then there's the Sadhaka, who will become a sadhana siddha through sadhana, through practice and grace, will become a siddha, a perfected devotee. But he's neither a siddha, neither a member of the material world. So where does he? As much as he or she is applies themselves to the practice, the teaching, and the lifestyle, then yes, that's the beginning of their entry. How would we look at the life of Gopakumar, that's depicted in Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He's doing practice, meditating on his mantra, he's experiencing different theistic conceptions, possibilities, and so forth. Charts a long course where he ends up, of course, in Goloka Vrindavan. So I don't think if you read that book, you'd think any part of his life was ordinary. You'd think he is a member of the Leela in an extended sense. So it all depends on you. You have been given the opportunity. You've been given the mantra. You've been the key, the name, the mantra, the example to follow to enter into this world. So as much as you turn the key, realize that you have it, turn it, and then you will experience. And then the question will be answered. You're not part of the world. So then, if you were to attain perfection and go back, as you will, and write a story, then whoever read the story would think your life was quite extraordinary. The problem, of course, is that our life may not be as extraordinary as Gopakumar, because we don't apply ourselves. Although we've been given the keys, we keep them in the back pocket. We left them in the drawer, went to work or something. That's the only issue at hand. And it's beautiful to think about it in this way in relation to Gaur Leela, because everything we do when we do our practices, we are following the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates and our Guru Maharaj in the Guru Parampara.
Porque todo lo que hacemos está en
we're not
conexión
putting
con
on
nuestro
gopi
Guru Maharaj,
dresses
es parte
and
de la Guru
doing
Parampara.
Rasa Lila,
No nos
and
vestimos como gopis, no hacemos rasa
we're
lila,
dressing up like
no
gopas.
vestimos como
We're
gopas,
dressing like sadhakas
no vestimos como
in a
sadhakas
practitioner's body, a sadhaka deha, applying ourselves, and
en el
this will give
cuerpo de
rise
un
to an
sadhaka,
internal
con nuestro sadhaka deha,
identity
y nos
in Krishna
aplicamos
Lila.
en el lila,
Meanwhile,
en
the
nuestra práctica
sadhaka
de la misma
identity
forma.
that we're developing, that is permanent. For Gorley to look at our
La identidad de
we look at
sadhaka
our
que
Guru
estamos
Parampara, we look at the
desarrollando
perfected
es
devotees,
permanente para el Gaura
and
Lila.
we see them as members of Gaur Lila. So if we're connected with them, then we're
Nosotros
connected.
pensamos
It's
en
up to
los
us
acharyas
to
de
apply
nuestro
ourselves. That's all.
de la Parampara y los vemos como miembros del
Hope
Gaura
that
Lila.
helps.
Espero que te
Thank you
ayude.
very much. So the next
Gracias,
question
Guru
is from
Maharaj. La
Madhumangal
siguiente pregunta
Radhakanta, all the way
es
from
de
the Ozark Mountains of
Madhumangal
Arkansas.
Radhakanta.
With all and everything being part
Arkansas.
and parcel of Krishna, and he as super soul resides in everything and everyone, is he and Balaram also by
Con todo
extension
siendo
Jai
parte de
Vijay,
Krishna, y
Hiranyaksha,
ya que él
Hiranyakashipu,
como alma
Francis
suprema
Satyayuga,
reside
Ravana,
en
and
todo,
Kumbhakarna, Treta Yuga, Shishupal, Danta Vakra
¿será
in
que
Dvapar
él
Yuga?
y Balaram
Will Jai and Vijay appear in Kali Yuga also?
por
Have they already
extensión, y
appeared?
por extensión
Will
Jai
they be the
Vijay,
demons
Hiranyaksha,
killed by Kalki
Hiranyakashipu,
Avatar? Are the demons really associates and
etcétera?
playmates of the Lord, just playing their
Jai
roles in
Vijay
the Lila?
también van a aparecer en Kali Yuga, o ya aparecieron.
Well, Jai Vijay are two
Van a ser
gatekeepers of
demonios
Vaikuntha,
matados por
and their
Kalki.
story is given in the Bhagavatam, begins in the 3rd canto,
Como dice,
it's
la
picked up
historia de
again in
Jai
the 7th
Vijay
canto,
empieza en el canto 3
and
y se habla más de ellos en el canto 7.
it stands out in the 7th canto with regard to the appearance of Nrsingadev, who was the one avatar of
Se cuenta
Krishna
mucho sobre ellos en
who
la historia
gets
de
the most
Narasimhadev,
attention,
que es el avatar
other
de
than Krishna
Krishna
and Balaram
que
themselves in
recibe
the Bhagavatam, and for good reason.
lo más
But without going into that,
atención, además de Krishna y Balaram, que ni siquiera son avatares.
It's not. Jiva Goswami makes the point that the same gatekeepers of Vaikuntha are not appearing in every yuga after yuga, and repeating this pastime.
No aparecen.
So it's a one-time affair for them.
Cada Mahayuga.
With regard to Kali Yuga, you ask about,
es una cosa que
it's thought that Jai and Vijay were liberated,
a Kali Yuga, se piensa que Jai
being
Vijay,
killed by ultimately by Krishna, right? They appeared and were slain by
Krishna en la forma de
Varaha,
tras haber sido
Nrsinga,
matados
they appear in Ram Lila also. But then Krishna Lila, as you mentioned, as they appeared as Dantavakra and what's the other one? Sisupal. Then they were liberated. Then they went back to Godhead. I thought they're supposed to have three lives. That's 4. Anyway, they went back. But it's thought in Gaudiya Sampradaya that they reappeared in Kali Yuga.
Pero en la Gaudiya Sampradaya se enseña que aparecieron de vuelta en Kali Yuga.
What are their names in Navadvip?
Jagai and Madai.
Jagai y Madai.
Jagai and Madai, right? Who offended Nityananda Prabhu and delivered therein, kind of an encore appearance.
Y fueron liberados.
That's the Gaudiya perspective on that. But otherwise, they're not, continuing to appear. And if the Leela of Nrsinga may play out differently in different time periods and so on and so forth. Now, there seemed to be another part to your question about all the demons, devotees, really,
Parece que hay otra parte
and
en
to
tu
keep appearing again and again
sobre
for Leela. No, I don't think we should look at it like that.
los demonios.
That's not the case. There's
De todo modo,
you could refer to the Garga Samhita,
no es así.
for example,
Puedes ver en el Garga Samhita,
which describes
que
the previous life of a number of the henchmen of Kamsa that were delivered by Krishna. Their previous lives are mentioned and so forth. They're not from Vaikuntha,
vidas anteriores de
crawling down for
Kansa.
the sake of the Leela and so on and so forth. There's a statement in the Gita
No son personas que
that
vienen
comes
de
to mind in
Vaikuntha
this regard,
para recitar en el Lila,
where Krishna says the certain demonic persons, they continue to conduct themselves
Krishna dice que
in such
ciertas
demonic ways
personas
that life after life I placed them in demonic wombs.
demoníacas,
Madhva Sampradaya takes that to mean that there are certain souls that always remain in the world, and they're demonic by nature, and they play that role.
Madhva Sampradaya dice que
We
hay
look
unas
at it a
almas
little
que son
differently,
demoníacas por naturaleza y
although
siempre van a
sometimes I
aparecer en
see some
cuanto
people and I think
demonios.
they could be like that.
Nosotros lo vemos de forma diferente, aunque hay gente
we
que
look at it like
parece que sí.
become demonic enough
Son
and you can
así.
take birth in Krishna Leela and Krishna will personally
Pero no hay gente que
you'll get his attention in that way. It's said that
en particular que
it's better
se ponen tan demoníacos que
to
aparecen
get Krishna's attention somehow or other.
un lila de Krishna y
Obviously,
van a ser
favorably
liberados
would
por el
be best, but
se
if
dice
we
que
don't
es
get his attention,
bueno obtener la
we'd
atención
be
de
better
Krishna
off
de una
getting his
forma u
attention in
otra.
a negative way.
Claro,
That
mejor
can only turn into
hacerlo
a
de forma
positive
positiva.
for us. So if someone's preoccupied in such a way that they become a big enough demon that
Si uno
get
tiene una
Krishna's attention,
absorción
enter his
tal
Leela.
que se
The
convierte
Prakat
en
Leela, the
semejante
manifest Leela,
demonio que Krishna
is a
mismo no
mixture
tiene
of
que
the
matar.
spiritual and the material. So there are material elements. There are people who are not pure who are in that Leela,
El
which is
Lila
not
de
the case
Krishna en el
in Goloka and
mundo
Aprakat Leela.
material es una
And so that's a
mezcla
very
de
special
elementos espirituales y
event
materiales.
for
Entonces
them.
ahí tienen ingreso estas
And
personas,
so,
estos jivas.
yeah, they get demonic enough,
Entonces
take
si uno
birth
se convierte,
in Krishna Leela, and Krishna will deliver them. That's
llega
our
a
idea.
tal nivel
Something like that.
de ser demoníaco, va a acabar en un lila de Krishna.
So I hope that helps.
Y así es.
If
Espero que te
I
ayude.
haven't fully answered your question, or at
Si
least
no te contesté
other questions in mind,
completamente,
free to bring them up.
me puedes preguntar más.
Okay, the next question is from Gaur Gopal Das. He's
La
a
siguiente pregunta
new
es
person
de
in our Sangha
Gaur
from
Gopal
Costa
Das,
Rica.
una
And he's
persona
asking, how can I
nueva
get to
de
Golok
Costa
Vrindavan
Rica
in Samadhi
que
with
dice, ¿cómo
attachment
puedo
still
llegar
lingering, separate
a
interests
Goloka
and unwanted
Vrindavan
qualities,
en Samadhi?
even if I give most of my time to bhakti-related activities, and not becoming neurotic or crazy with the 24-hour connection mentally and emotionally? And the second part of the question is, and what is that fifth dimension?
Uy, estaba leyendo muy
Well,
rápido.
how can you get to Goloka Vrindavan
Gurvansh la va a repetir.
with
¿Cómo
material
puede
desires
llegar uno a Goloka
and
Vrindavan
distractions?
con el deseo materiales y distracciones? Bueno,
that's like saying,
eso es como
I
decir,
look out my window and there's a forest here, and beyond the
estoy
forest, about 10
mirando
miles, there's the
en mi
ocean.
ventana
So
y
how can
veo
I
que en
get
la
from here to the
foresta,
ocean
y yo sé que detrás
with
de
all of
la
those trees
foresta
in the way? I have to
está el
cut through them.
océano. ¿Y
And
cómo
that's
voy a
what
llegar al océano
sadhana
con
bhakti
todos estos
involves.
árboles? Hay que
How will you
cortarlos.
get, what you're really asking, in effect, is
Lo
how
que
can you
estás
get prema
preguntando es,
bhakti
¿cómo puedo llegar al Prema Bhakti
given your present,
considerando mi,
in this life,
en
given
esta
your
vida,
present distractions and
considerando
so
mis
forth?
distracciones, etc.
Only by applying yourself
Bueno, solo
to sadhana bhakti.
aplicándote en sadhana bhakti.
And if you apply yourself
Si te aplicas
fully, then
completamente,
you have the prospect of
tienes
reaching
la
a stage in which it
perspectiva
won't matter to you,
de llegar a
which
un
Chaitanya
estadio en
Mahaprabhu
que no te va a
explains
importar.
in his Shikshastakam when
Como
he says,
dice Chaitanya
Nadanam
Mahaprabhu en
Najanam
su
Nasundev,
Shikshashtakam, Nadanam
Kavitam
Najanam
Va
Nasunderam, Kavitam
Jagadishakam,
Va Jagadishakam.
Mama Janmani Janmanishpare, Bhavatad Bhakti or Haitakitayi. So I've been asked this kind of similar question before.
Me preguntaron
Can I get back, go
algo
back to
parecido.
Godhead? Can I
¿Puedo
attain
llegar
mukti, attain prema in one
mukti, al
life?
prema en una vida?
And the answer is,
Y
in
la
one life you
respuesta es
will.
sí, en una
Which
vida.
one? The
¿Cuál?
one in which it
Pero
doesn't
¿cuál?
matter
La
to you
en que
anymore
no te va
because
a
you've
importar.
absorbed yourself so much in
Ya no te
bhakti
importa
as a
porque ya
practice
estás
that as
tan
Chaitanya
involucrado
Mahaprabhu
en
says,
el
I don't care
bhakti
about
¿Qué vas a hacer?
becoming
Vas
free
a
from
tener el
birth
mismo
and death. I just
sentimiento que
want to do
Chaitanya
bhakti.
Mahaprabhu, que no te importa, ya solo te importa hacer
So,
bhakti.
how can you get to that stage
¿Y cómo llegas a
where you
ese
just want to
estadio?
do bhakti? Well, the
Si
more
solo
you
quieres,
apply
donde
yourself
solo
in
quieres
bhakti
hacer bhakti. En la medida en que te
and take advantage of sadhusanga and so
aplicas en
forth. Of course,
bhakti
we all
y
come from different backgrounds.
aprovechas del
So, of
sadhusanga
course,
y
it's going to be a
además
little different
todo el
for
mundo viene
each of
de
us.
un
But I don't
escenario
think that
diferente.
we
No va
should
a
be
ser lo mismo para todo
preoccupied
el mundo.
with
Pero no deberíamos pensar
attaining the ideal in this life. We should be preoccupied with
de esta forma que queremos
one
llegar
person
al
asked me, "Have
ideal
you
en
seen
esta
Krishna?" I said,
vida.
"Well, I
La
wasn't
persona
really
me
looking."
preguntó, ¿tú viste a Krishna? Y yo le dije, bueno,
No,
no
he
estaba
said, "Have you seen
buscando.
Krishna?" I said, "Well,
No, pero ¿lo viste?
something like that. I've been asked that several times."
O sea,
And
me
I've
lo
often
preguntó
answered, "Well, I
muchas
wasn't
veces.
looking for Krishna.
Y yo le dije, no, pero no estaba buscando a Krishna.
I was looking for service for
Estaba
Krishna."
buscando
And of course, you
servicio a
see him in
Krishna.
service
Porque lo ves en el
if you
servicio.
apply yourself there.
Si no,
So
si
we
uno se
want to be
aplica,
careful not to look for Krishna, not to
entonces
look for
deberíamos
mukti,
tener cuidado
not to look for
en no
attaining perfection,
deberíamos buscar a
but
Krishna.
look for applying ourselves. What really
No
constitutes
deberíamos
perfection? It's
perseguir
at
la
your disposal
perfección,
at the
sino
moment.
deberíamos
Once I asked
aplicarnos de
Prabhupada,
forma perfecta. Una vez
if
le
I just
pregunté a
continue
Prabhupada,
distributing your books,
si yo continúo a distribuir tus libros,
sometimes the devotees ask, I said,
a veces los
sometimes,
devotos me preguntan
if we just by distributing books,
que si
we'll
solo
become liberated. He said to
distribuyendo
me,
los
"You
libros,
are already liberated."
si nos vamos a liberar, y Prabhupada me dijo, tú ya estás
That's what he
liberado.
told me. You are already liberated. Just continue with it. This is
Solo sigue
takes
haciendo
us a little bit back to
esto.
Abhay Krishna's question.
Lo que me
may not
conecta a
know
la pregunta de Abhay.
You're not paying attention enough to realize
A lo mejor
what's
no te estás
happening to
dando
you.
cuenta, pero te
And
está
as you
ocurriendo esto.
Gopakumara, go back to him, he saw his body change.
Así como Gopakumara
So,
vio su cuerpo cambiando
we should apply ourselves
conforme
to
iba haciendo progreso espiritual.
to the perfection that is at hand, the opportunity that is at hand, to serve Krishna's
La
perfection, to love Krishna.
perfección que tenemos al alcance
You have your chanting,
es lo en que deberíamos
you
enfocarnos.
worship the deity,
Servir a
you
Krishna es
read.
perfección.
All these
Tenemos
things
el
should be
canto,
done
tenemos los libros.
with attention and
Y en la medida que lo
purpose
hacemos con
and
atención, con una perspectiva,
heartfelt and so
con
on
el
and so forth,
corazón,
they have great power. We just don't apply ourselves.
son
So
cosas que tienen
we
mucho
just have to
poder,
apply
nada más
ourselves.
que no nos aplicamos.
You can't think, how can I get in the door without opening the door? You have
Es
to open
como
the
decir,
door.
¿cómo puedo
You
cruzar
can't. You have to open the door. But I think it's a little unhealthy to be preoccupied with.
la puerta sin abrir
I
la
probably
puerta?
would say that we should go back to Godhead now, and it was an
Prabhupada sí
impetus for
decía,
us in
deberíamos
driving
volver a Krishna en esta
force,
vida.
so to speak,
Y era para
a
animarnos,
sense of urgency.
para darnos un sentido de
But
urgencia.
I think you have to
Pero
only as much as that type of an advocacy or that type of a preaching serves its purpose to get us fully engaged, which it did at the time. Would it be useful?
Pero esto va a ser útil para nosotros solo en
it
la medida en
becomes a
que nos anima.
preoccupation
Si se convierte en una
becomes
neurosis
unhealthy and gets in the way of just applying ourselves to the
que no
opportunity
es
at hand,
saludable
then
y
that's a problem.
perdemos la oportunidad de
So I wouldn't worry about
aprovechar
that.
de nuestra práctica en tiempo presente, ya
And
no es útil.
what was the last part of the
¿Y
question?
qué era la última parte de la pregunta?
It says, well, part of it was like, how do you not become neurotic and crazy if you're
Entonces, una
24-hour,
parte de la
like,
pregunta era cómo
you know, connected to bhakti
puede uno
mentally and
no
emotionally.
convertirse
And then
en
the very last
neurótico?
thing was, what
Y
is
la
the
segunda
fifth
parte
dimension?
es, ¿qué es la
I guess
quinta
beyond
dimensión?
2 hours.
Okay. Well, if you do apply yourself 24 hours a day, you
Bueno,
will
si te
become crazy.
aplicas
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went crazy,
las
so it's
24 horas del
desirable.
día, sí te vas a
But I
convertir
mean,
en loco, sí te vas a volver
if you
loco. Mahaprabhu
find that
acabó loco,
applying yourself
pero si te
in
aplicas,
attempting to do so, that you're not understanding your own, recognizing your own
pero
limitations
no reconoces tus
and
limitaciones,
and therefore artfully engaging in sadhana, then yeah, you
si
could
no te
become
aplicas
neurotic
en
and
el
it'd be
sadhana con
problematic. So
arte, sí se va a convertir en
you
una
have to
neurosis.
be able to tell your temperature. You have to.
Tienes
You
que
want to.
tantear
Let's say you want to.
tu
Central to
temperatura, tu
any yoga practice,
pulso.
bhakti included, is to capture the mind. So that's a tall task, and it may be
Y esto
one that
no
one's not
es algo
up to in
fácil.
terms of just going straight at the mind. If you want to enter a house, well, there's more than one way. If you can't get in
Para
the front
entrar
door, maybe you go in the
a una
back door. If you
casa
can't get in the
no
back, maybe you go through the
hay más
window. If
que
you can't get through the
hay
window,
más
maybe you
que
go
una
through the
forma.
chimney. Somehow
Si no es por la puerta,
you
va a ser
find a
por la
way
puerta trasera
to
o por
get
la
in,
ventana o por la chimenea.
and you have to learn to work with the mind rather than against the mind.
Lo que tienes que aprender
you
es cómo
just
trabajar con la
try
mente en
to
vez que en contra.
wrestle directly with the mind, yeah, you may
Si te
lose it.
pones a
You may
luchar
become a little
directamente con la
neurotic
mente, puedes que
and
pierdas y te conviertas
out
y te
of
vuelvas
balance
neurótico.
in terms of your psychological ego, and in a weaker position to actually practice.
Y
And
acabas
if you have a strong
quedándote en una
psychological
posición
ego,
más
you're in
débil
a better
con
position
respecto a tu
to
práctica.
dismantle the metaphysical ego. So sadhana is an art,
El
and
sadhana es un arte.
we need a coach, we need guidance.
Nos hace falta un
We need to
entrenador,
recognize
una
our
guía,
limitations, our level of our
para que
adhikar.
veamos nuestros
If we
límites,
don't
el
understand the
nivel de
level of
nuestro
our
adhikar.
eligibility,
Si
we
no
try to apply
conocemos el
ourselves
nivel
in
de
ways
nuestra
that
elegibilidad,
are beyond our eligibility to practice, and
si
so
nos involucramos con
that is
actividades y
unbecoming,
prácticas que están
and it
más
doesn't
allá
beget
de
our
nuestra
practice.
cualificación,
So, to be members of the Chaitanya Sampradaya, to be sadhakas,
ser miembros
glorious
de nuestro
thing.
sampradaya en
And
cuanto sadhakas es algo muy glorioso.
and the fact that it's gradual, our progress and so forth, that shouldn't deter us or discourage us if we understand what a great course we've embarked upon. Just to be on the path at all is extraordinary and something to celebrate about, so forth.
Al estar en el sendero,
we see our shortcomings in a healthy way. We
causa de celebración, debería ser causa de
are
celebración.
humbled by them, and to be
reconocerlo es algo que nos hace humildes.
By our recognized shortcomings in a healthy way means
reconociendo nuestros defectos de
we're
forma
humbled by our shortcomings, recognize them, and we are thereby inspired
y esto nos inspira
to practice
a practicar
more.
aún más.
Given that despite our shortcomings, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the name has not left him. Nam nama kari bahudani
pesar de nuestros defectos,
Etadishita Vakripa Bhagavan Namapi. Durudaivam Nibishami Hajani Nanuraga. Wow. He's still there. The beads have not walked off on me. They're still there, right? The name stays with us. Even though we have, as Mahaprabhu says, I have distractions and I have no attractions, still the name is staying with me. So we are humbled by our shortcomings.
Sin embargo,
and
mis cuentas de Tulsi no
and
se han
in light of them, the fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the holy name is still, the dispensation is still making itself available to us.
El santo nombre sigue siendo
so again, we're inspired.
Y esto
so
nos inspira.
This is an art, and I guess a lot of devotees
y
don't understand.
No entienden.
They can't be comfortable with where they're at.
En el
and
nivel en que se encuentran.
The fact that they can't apply themselves to certain practices at this time. If they apply themselves to what they can practice at this time sincerely,
pero secreto
then
es
they'll
que
feel
si uno se
enthused.
aplica con las cosas que sí
You have to be
puede
very
hacer
careful
en
to
el
very
nivel en
fine
que
line,
se
because you
encuentra
can't.
ahora.
I'm not saying, well, here are my shortcomings. This is all I can do.
O sea, no es que uno tenga que decir, bueno, esos son mis
do more
defectos
later
y
on. Well, I guess I'll know
hasta
about
ahí
it.
llego, no,
So
no puedo hacer más.
You can't use this as an excuse to
Tampoco se
not
puede
practice,
usar esto como una excusa para no
to be slack
practicar.
and so forth, but to be comfortable with the fact that I'm
Nada más hay
on
que
this
aprender
level.
a ser cómodos con el nivel en que estamos y
to be
tenemos que
accepted
pensar, bueno, estoy a este nivel.
at some level. One of Prabhupada's godbrothers, Sridhar Maharaj once said something. And in fact, he's an example of a Kanishta-adhikari. When that devotee heard that, he thought, oh, Sridhar Maharaj has considered me a Kanishta-adhikari. Oh, how
Bueno, él les
fortunate I
dijo
am.
de un hermano
He's
espiritual
given me,
suyo que él
he's
era un Kemush
recognized that I have
Adhikari, era el ejemplo
adhikar
de
for
Kemush
bhakti,
Adhikari. Y cuando este
which
sannyasi
he was
escuchó esto, dijo,
inspired.
Sridhar Maharaj me
So
reconoció que
again, if you
como un
understand the
cualquier
path, to be
Adhikari,
anywhere on it
en vez de
is
pensar
auspicious.
como
We're not
él se
envious
puso un
of those
Kemush
that are
Adhikari.
further along. We're happy for them and seek their association. In a healthy way, we lament our own position, healthy in the sense that, well, it's a healthy way that we become inspired to practice on the level that we can.
Tenemos que tener una actitud saludable
This is again,
en ver en dónde estamos
it's an art.
y trabajar con lo que
It's
tenemos.
just sadhana. It's like
Este es el arte
we're
del
working to
sadhana.
attain perfection.
Estamos trabajando para lograr la
And
perfección.
working with the mind instead of against
Y
the
tenemos
mind.
que
We've got to
trabajar con la
gradually
mente en vez
harness
que
it and so
contra de
forth.
ella.
So otherwise, the fifth dimension, they said that there
Y
are
si no,
4
la
dimensions of
quinta
consciousness.
dimensión, se dice que hay 4 dimensiones de la conciencia.
Jagrata, the waking state,
El estadio de
swapna, dream state, when the physical
despierto, cuando estás
world
soñando,
influence is diminished and the
el
mental
mundo de los sueños.
influence over consciousness is prominent. Then there's deep sleep, when even the
Luego el
mind turns
sueño
off.
profundo, cuando la mente se acaba.
And then there's to the fourth,
Y luego se encuentra la cuarta dimensión,
just called the
que
fourth.
solo se llama la cuarta, ni
What can you
siquiera se
say
puede
about it?
describir.
It's beyond the waking state, beyond the
Está
dreaming state,
más
beyond
allá
deep
que
sleep,
el
the
estadio
fourth. Of course, that's mukti. That's
de sueño
Vaikuntha.
profundo, de sueño, de
There
estar
is something you can
despierto.
say about it from the
Es un
Vaishnava point
tipo
of
de
view.
mukti.
But the fifth dimension, if you will,
Pero la quinta
that
dimensión,
is mentioned in Gopal Tapani,
que se
Turyatita
menciona en el
Gopala.
Gopal
So the fifth
Tapani,
dimension means beyond Vaikuntha,
se
Goloka.
refiere a ese estadio más allá de Vaikuntha, o
And
sea,
there you can hear the
Goloka.
fifth note of
Y
Krishna's
allá se
flute,
puede
which is
escuchar
prominent.
la quinta nota de
Another
la flauta
question?
de Krishna. ¿Otra pregunta?
Pretty much, I had a short follow-up. That mental
Yo tengo
image
una
of somebody
preguntita.
going into the house of Bhakti through the chimney is really humorous for me. It's like my cartoonist mind immediately gets activated. But I
Hablando
was just
de
wondering if you could give
entrar
like
a
an
la
actual
casa de
practical
Krishna por la
example of what
chimenea,
that
me
could
parece muy
mean in
chistoso
like a
porque
sadhaka slide. What does it mean to, go
Pero
in an
siempre que
unconventional
lo oigo me
route, basically?
pregunto, ¿pero qué quiere decir en realidad?
Well,
Bueno,
I don't necessarily mean in an
yo
unconventional route.
no
I just
quiero decir
mean that
de una
somehow or
forma
other,
no convencional, sino que
Rupa
de una
Goswami
forma u
makes a
otra.
statement somehow or other,
Rupa
you fix your mind
Goswami
on
dice que de
Krishna.
una forma u otra deberíamos
Well,
enfocarnos en Krishna.
so if you want to use it, and I guess the analogy does
Entonces,
brings up
siguiendo con esta analogía,
image of an unconventional route. The Bhagavatam says
el Bhagavatam dice que
in the 7th canto
en el canto 7,
that by enmity,
que
by anger,
a través la
by
enemistad,
relationship, like
la rabia,
by karma, somehow or other. Examples are there: Kamsa,
deseos
Shishupal,
sexuales,
enmity,
Kamsa,
Kamsa,
Shishupal,
fear. They fix their minds on Krishna. So I was saying
Kamsa
earlier,
eran enemigos,
better to fix
Shishupal
your
tenía
mind on
miedo,
Krishna in a
tenía miedo.
negative way.
De alguna forma estaban
Better in a positive
100%
way, but in a
enfocados
negative way,
en
you're better than
Krishna.
not at all.
Entonces,
So Bhagavatam says that
mejor así que de
Shishupal
ninguna forma.
achieved perfection by
Entonces, el
fixing his
Bhagavatam
mind in
dice que
enmity upon
Shishupal
Krishna. The gopis
logró
by
la
lust,
perfección
or kama,
a
appears to be
través del miedo, las
lust,
gopis a
somehow or
través
other.
de lo que aparece ser deseo
So
sexual.
I think in particular, like Shishupal comes a very unconventional route.
Entonces,
Now
Shishupal y
that's
Kamsa
not something for
son
a
el símbolo
sadhaka
de
to do.
una ruta
But as far as
no
sadhakas
convencional.
go, then you have
Pero
to
hablando de los
you find a way.
sadhakas,
Again, I'm just talking
quiere
about the fact
decir
that you need to
encontrar cualquier forma
work with the mind. The mind,
de
you
trabajar
want to take
con
a
la mente.
vacation, you want to go
Quiere decir de
relax
vacaciones, ir
somewhere,
relajarte
travel. So
y viajar.
travel to the Dham.
Bueno,
You're not supposed to go there to relax and
que
vacation, but
viajes al
might as
Dham.
well go there and relax
Bueno,
and
no se,
vacation there
no se recomienda que uno vaya al Dhama
than
para
somewhere else.
relajarse y
And certainly
distraerse.
you'll be reminded of
Pero
the
mejor
purpose, ultimate purpose,
que ir a otros
and so on and
lugares.
so forth.
Una vez que estás en el Dhamma, aunque de vacaciones, te va a recordar lo que es la
Bhakti
meta.
is very broad in a sense, very generous.
Bhakti es algo
Think
muy
about
ancho y
Krishna,
muy
you can pray to
generoso.
Krishna, you can chant about Krishna,
Pensar
you
en
can hear about
Krishna,
Krishna,
orarle a Krishna,
you can eat
cantar su
food, offer to
nombre,
Krishna, you can pay
le
respect. There's so
podemos
many
ofrecer
ways that you can
comida,
apply
hay
yourself.
tantas formas de
If you're having
aplicarnos.
trouble in one way,
Si nos
if you're
si
chanting
tenemos
japa and
problemas
you
con
can't
una
follow, put down the
forma,
beach, pick up the cartels.
si
Chant like that
tenemos
for
problemas
half
con
an hour,
el
somehow or
japa,
other. That's kind of the
que
spirit of
dejemos el japa mala
what
y
I'm talking
agarremos
about.
los cártalos y vamos a
I'd like
cantar
to see that
de
cartoon.
forma repetitiva así.
Yeah, I'll start working on it.
Okay.
Let's see. Next question is from Gayatri.
La siguiente pregunta es de Gayatri.
Hi, Krishna.
Good
So
morning.
my question is
Mi
about
pregunta es
the
sobre
phrase and or title eternal spiritual mastery.
es sobre cuando
I
se
don't
dice
understand
maestro espiritual
what
eterno.
that looks like, since we haven't always been intentionally applying ourselves to
No
the
entiendo lo que
practice.
quiere decir porque
So what
nosotros
does it mean by eternal spiritual
no
master?
estuvimos desde
Have we always
siempre
had
aplicándonos en la vida
one
espiritual. Entonces, ¿qué quiere
guru
decir
and
eterno?
in
Que
different
siempre lo
shapes?
tuvimos en
I just
formas
can't wrap my head
diferentes.
around this. If you
Ya
can
no,
please
no se me puede
explain.
explicar.
One thing about eternal, when we say
Una
that
cosa que se puede decir sobre lo del maestro espiritual eterno, como decimos,
bhakti is eternal,
es que, bueno, el bhakti es eterno.
doesn't mean it doesn't have a beginning in your life.
No quiere decir que no tiene
Eternality
en tu vida.
in Gaudiya Vaishnavism is very peculiar because
La eternidad
even in the
en
Leela,
la visión
new things are
Gaudiya
happening.
es muy peculiar porque
Krishna is seen as
inclusive
new
en el lila hay cosas nuevas.
at every moment.
Krishna se percibe como nuevo a cada momento.
So it's not a static
cada momento
kind
algo
of
nuevo. No es una
eternity.
visión estática.
New people are showing up. There's room for
Siempre hay nuevas personas.
Krishna is celebrating his own
Krishna está
nature
celebrando
and
su
so
propia
forth.
naturaleza.
And as he celebrates it through another devotee,
Entonces,
who
cuando
has
la
become
celebra
perfect,
a través de otro devoto que ha
then
llegado a la
other sides of
perfección,
Krishna that are there
otros aspectos
always
de
are now
Krishna
coming out.
surgen a la superficie en relación a este devoto.
So it's a very dynamic type of eternity, not a static idea of eternity. I've written a little bit about this
Es
in
una idea
my
de
forthcoming book.
eternidad
It's a very interesting
dinámica.
subject. So,
escribí algo sobre este sujeto.
but the idea
Sin embargo,
of
la
the
idea
eternal,
del maestro
that the
espiritual
guru is eternal,
eterno, que el
there's a
guru es
number of ways to
eterno,
think about
hay
that.
muchas formas de
I
verlo.
mentioned this the other week or
Lo
so,
dije
a few
la
weeks back
semana
perhaps,
pasada,
but
creo.
one of the ways
Una
in
de
which
las
we
formas
use
en
the
que
term
se
eternal
usa
spiritual master is to
maestro
differentiate
espiritual eterno es para diferenciarlo,
ourselves from Advaita
diferenciar a
Vedanta,
nosotros
where the
del
guru
Advaita
is
Vedanta, donde el guru es un instrumento,
an aid that's done away with
del que
when you've
nos
accomplished what
desechamos
the aid,
una vez que
what the aid's purpose was.
logramos
And
nuestro
when speak of Krishna, even
propósito.
Bhagwan is done away with.
Ni
You might
hablar del
worship the
guru,
deity
Bhagavan mismo se
to get
desecha
beyond
como
the deity, to
concepto.
become the deity, and so forth.
Nosotros mismos nos
So,
convertimos en
unlike,
la
we're
deidad.
unlike that.
Y nosotros somos
There, the deity is
el contrario.
provisional. There, the guru is provisional.
En el Advaita Vedanta, la deidad, el guru,
They're part
son
of the
provisionales. Son
the Vyavaharic, empiric realm, and in the Paramarthic, they're not there. So it's not like
son parte
that.
del mundo empírico.
So,
Y
in one sense, if over different
lograr
lifetimes
la
you've had different
liberación, ya no hay
gurus,
distinción.
let's say, they're all going to be there.
Entonces, en
So,
nuestra
who's ever
visión,
been your guru?
el que sea que
In the
haya
real sense
sido
of the
tu
term,
guru,
in different
todos nos vamos
lifetimes,
a
they're all going to be
encontrar
there. That's one way to look at
en
it.
el mundo espiritual. Esa es una
And
forma de
another way to
verlo.
look at it, of course, is the guru is Krishna. The
Otra
guru is
forma
a
de verlo es que
representative of Krishna.
el guru es Krishna, el guru es
So
un
Krishna is
representante
there.
de Krishna, entonces Krishna va a estar
And
allá.
what you're getting through the guru is what
Lo que
what
recibimos del
Krishna's
guru es lo
like,
que Krishna
and
nos
as you
está
come to
dando.
realize that fully. Of course, then the guru is also there as a devotee. So we know
También
that
el
the
guru se
guru
encuentra allá como
represents
devoto.
Krishna, but he's also has a service to Krishna. So then the more we churn this idea of the eternal guru, then
entre más vamos desarrollando esta idea del gurú eterno,
then the guru, there will be, or there, I would say, so the guru, we have a relationship with a guru, with a Vaishnava who's a guru.
Tenemos una relación con el guru, con un
in the
Vaishnava
spiritual
que es el
world,
guru.
in his
Y en el mundo espiritual,
group,
en su grupo,
something like that.
algo así.
So that's a more refined way of looking at that. Or you take, and I should mention, because, well, in our group, we have the influence of Madhurya Rasa through Pujapad Sridhar Maharaj,
En nuestro
and Sakya
grupo
Rasa
tenemos
through
la influencia
through
de la
Prabhupada
Madhurya
and so
Rasa por
forth.
Sridhar Maharaj, de Sakya Rasa por Srila
So that's
Prabhupada.
when we think, well,
Y alguien podría
well,
pensar,
I want Guru Maharaj
y yo
to
quiero,
be, I want to be in his group, but
yo quiero
he
estar en
likes
el
the
guru de
Sakya
mi Guru
Rasa. I
Maharaj,
have
pero a él le gusta el Sakya Rasa.
affinity for Madhurya Rasa,
Yo tengo
so I
afinidad
have to
por
get a
el
Madhurya Rasa guru,
Madhurya
or
Rasa,
I'm going to
entonces
get
me
his
va a hacer
group.
falta un guru
And
de
of course,
Madhurya Rasa.
the answer to that is no. That
La respuesta,
once
por
that was,
supuesto, es no.
some people were promoting that.
En un cierto
Prabhupada
tiempo,
and Sakya Rasa, if you want Madhurya Rasa, you have to
hubo
go here or
devotos que
there.
dijeron que como Prabhupada está en
I
Sakya Rasa,
presented that to Puri
tienes que
Maharaj
tomar
to see
amparo
what he said. I didn't
de
agree with it.
otro
He didn't.
Vaishnava. Yo se lo dije a Puri
He
Maharaj
chuckled.
para
He
ver lo
said,
que decía.
Prabhupada,
Y
you
él
have a
me
guru
dijo,
in Sakya
Baba,
Rasa,
si tu guru está en Sakya Rasa
you think you've got a problem,
y
and
tienes
then
un
you've got a
problema
problem.
con eso, entonces
He
sí que
can
tienes un
arrange
problema.
everything and so forth.
Porque
And a
el
great
guru
example
que
of
es
that
un
is there in our
Sakya Rasa
sampradaya, that
bhakta te puede organizar todo
Shamananda
para
Prabhu
tus necesidades
was a
espirituales.
disciple of
También tenemos la historia de
Hridaya Chaitanya,
Shamananda Pandit, que era
who
un
was a
discípulo de
disciple
Hridaya
of
Chaitanya Pandit, que era discípulo de
Gauridas Pandit, who
Gauridas
was
Pandit,
incarnation
que
of Subal
es una
in
encarnación de
Gaur Lila.
Subala en Gaura Lila.
So his disciple
Y su
was Hridaya
discípulo,
Chaitanya, and Hridaya Chaitanya initiated
Hridaya Chaitanya,
to what he
inició
became known as
a
Shamananda.
Duki Krishna,
But Shamananda was attracted, and this is a Sakya Rasa
que
lineage.
luego se convirtió en Shamananda,
Subal's
pero
in Sakya Rasa.
Shamananda Pandit
Hridaya Chaitanya was in Sakya Rasa. But
tenía
Shamananda became
afinidad
attracted to
para el
Madhurya
Madhurya
Rasa.
Lila, Madhurya Rasa.
But Hridaya Chaitanya remained his eternal guru in the Lila
Pero Hridaya
as
Chaitanya
well.
quedó
So
siendo su guru eterno en
these
el
two,
Lila.
of course, are very compatible.
Y esos dos
No
lilas,
problem
esos
there.
dos razas son muy
There's a nice
compatibles.
verse from Rupa
Sakya con
Goswami,
Madhurya. Hay un verso de Rupa Goswami
and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, this verse, Rupa Manjari is speaking
y
to
Vishnu
inspire
Chakravarti Thakur
another
dice que
young
en este
gopi
verso
who's a sadhu
Rupa
and siddha,
Manjari está hablando
entering
para
the Lila
inspirar a otra gopi
to have regard for Subal.
para que
It's
tenga
a very famous verse. So anyway, just
respeto
as a small point
hacia
here,
Subal. Bueno, era un
with
punto
regard to this
aparte.
more refined idea of the eternal guru, right?
Pero esta es una idea más refinada
Now
de lo que
we
se
asked
dice
Sridhar
como
Maharaj
la
about this
maestra
after
espiritual
Prabhupada
eterna.
left.
Una
Right?
vez le preguntamos a
He
Sridhar
gave the
Maharaj
broad
después de la
answer.
departida de
Guru is
Srila Prabhupada.
representative of Krishna.
Él nos dijo, bueno, el
So,
guru es un representante de Krishna
many
y
different packages that will appear in
que
and
puede
so forth.
venir
But then
en
he
el
could
pack
see that we
diferente,
wanted a little something more.
pero él pudo
And so
ver
he
que
said,
queríamos saber algo más y nos dijo,
but if your guru is in Goloka,
pero si tu guru está en
and
Goloka,
it said the guru keeps coming back for the disciple. Does he come back? Krishna said, no, he doesn't have to come back like that. Krishna
dice que
can
el
send
guru
someone
tiene
else.
que volver para el discípulo hasta que esté liberado. Y
But then
Srila
he said
Prabhupada
that,
dice, no, pero no tiene que ser la
Krishna,
misma persona. Krishna
well, this is
va a
what he
mandar
said.
a
He
otro
said,
guru.
but
Y
if
nos
you're
dijo,
praying to the guru
pero si le
that
oramos
you
al
want
guru
him to
y
come back,
queremos que él vuelva
and
para
he will go to
nosotros,
Krishna and say,
entonces el
they want
guru
me, they're
le va
calling me,
a
they're
preguntar
praying that
a
I would
Krishna,
come
me
back
están orando
in
para que
the
yo
next
en
life to
persona
deliver them.
vaya
And Krishna said, no, I could send somebody else. He says, no, they want me. And Krishna said, all right, then send you. Something like that. So it's whatever you want. Right. If you want your guru to be your eternal guru in the fullest sense of the term that I'm speaking of, then that's who will be your guru in the fullest sense of the term. Does that help?
También puede ser así.
Yes, but does that mean that we're taking this soul, this person, then away from Golok Vrindavan if we're praying to have
¿Cómo puede ser
that
que
guru?
vamos a raptar a esta persona del Goloka Vrindavan para nosotros? Guru Maharaj dice, no,
He'll expand himself.
va a dejar, se va a
Be in two
expandir.
places at the same time.
Va a ser se expande en
Wonderful.
este mundo y puede ser dos personas en el mismo tiempo. No hay
Okay, the
problema.
last,
Go ahead.
last question is from Kishore Krishna from
La
Madhuban.
última pregunta es de Kishore Krishna de Madhuban.
Pranam Guru Maharaj. Good morning.
Guru Maharaj.
Good morning.
Buenos días.
Question, I'm just finding it. Okay.
Estoy buscando.
So there's a strong emphasis in society today
enfatiza
to not
mucho
care
en
what
la
others think
sociedad
about
de
us. I understand there is an unhealthy way to
para
care
que no
too
nos
much what others
importe
think
lo
about
que la
us.
sociedad piensa de
But isn't
nosotros.
the issue more whose thoughts we care about and why? It seems there is a
Entonces,
sacred
es aún
way
más
to care
fuerte
deeply
que la
about
gente
what
se encuentra
Guru
influenciada
Krishna
por lo que la gente piensa
and
de
everything
nosotros.
connected to
Pero
them
no
think
debería
about us.
importarnos de alguna
I
forma lo
imagine
que
the Vrajbastis
algunos
must be
piensan
constantly
de
wondering
nosotros,
how Krishna experiences them. So I've just been
especialmente los
reflecting on
devotos.
this idea
Estaba
of caring
reflexionando
what
sobre
others think about
esta
us
idea
and wondering if you could share your thoughts on it.
de darle importancia a lo que la gente piensa
Well,
de
I'm going to answer
nosotros.
very briefly because we're really out of time. But I mean,
Bueno,
I
no tenemos
almost,
mucho tiempo,
if
pero
I understand your question properly, I
entiendo
think that
bien
not
tu
a healthy way
pregunta.
of not caring
Hay una manera
what other
saludable
people think about
para darle
us.
importancia a lo que
There's a
la
healthy
gente
way to do
piensa
this,
de
and there's an
nosotros.
unhealthy way.
O sea, hay una
I
manera
mean, a healthy
no,
way
que no
for
es
us
buena y una manera
to
que nos
not
puede
care what other
ayudar.
people think
Una
about us
manera
is to only
saludable
care
de
what our
darle
guru thinks
importancia
about us.
a lo que piensa la gente es de darle
That we
importancia
should care
solo
about.
a lo que nuestro guru piensa de
What Guru and
nosotros.
Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu think about us,
Lo que
that's
Krishna,
important.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu y
And
nuestro
whatever
guru
anybody
pensaría de
else thinks,
nosotros, eso es lo que
it really doesn't
importa.
matter.
Lo que piensen los demás no importa.
Who are they? What are they? A passing
¿Quiénes
bubble on the
son?
ocean, you know,
Lo que son una
of
burbuja en el
time.
océano.
We're not here to please anyone
Nosotros no estamos aquí para
other
complacer a
than
nadie,
our Guru and Krishna.
más que nuestro guru y Krishna.
We're not here to displease other people
No estamos aquí para
either, but and I don't think the two are, you know, mutually exclusive, but there are times when they may be mutually exclusive. When
no estamos aquí
pleasing
para
our
lastimar
guru
a nadie de alguna
is
forma,
going to displease,
pero
you know,
hay maneras,
maybe our parents, because you
por
know,
ejemplo,
they don't want us to go
hay
to his ashram
situaciones
for a
donde
visit or something. I don't, whatever, you know.
padres
Then
no quieren que
you,
vayamos al
you know, you
ashram,
have to make the right choice. But you know,
entonces hay que
largely,
escoger de la
pleasing
forma
the
más
Guru and Krishna
proporcional.
should make you a very
Pero en
pleasing
general,
person.
complacerle a Krishna y al guru
That's part of sadhana
nos hacen
bhakti, Shubhada,
personas que
when it becomes
por
auspicious
defecto
and
complacer a todo el
likable
mundo alrededor de ellos.
and so forth.
Somos más
Of course, it's
amigables,
somewhat relative because there's
simpáticos.
always going to be somebody that doesn't like you, doesn't care
Pero
about what
siempre
you
va a
do.
haber alguien a quien
But
no le
we don't
gustemos.
need to care about anything else.
Pero no
I don't.
deberíamos darle
If my
importancia.
guru is pleased, then
Si mi guru está complacido,
that's who I am. So
eso es lo que yo soy.
in a healthy way, from a spiritual point of view, I don't worry about what the world thinks. And you know, obviously, many of the things that we
Esta sería la
embrace, the
forma
ideas and so
saludable y
forth, are not
devocional
popular
de no darle
with
importancia a lo que la gente
the
piensa de
materialists and
nosotros.
so on and so forth. We don't care for that. So I don't know if I'm answering your question entirely, but that's
No sé si te
what comes to
contesté
mind. Does that help?
de forma exhaustiva, pero eso es lo que me salió
Yes,
de
yes,
decir.
thank you.
¿Está bien?
I'll keep reflecting on it too.
Sí, gracias.
Maybe
Seguiré
something more will come.
reflexionando sobre eso.
It also goes with regard to the nowadays there's more there's more exposure to different sanghas and so
También
forth.
Hoy día
And every
hay más
Sangha has a little bit of a different way
exposición a
of doing
diferentes
things, and
sanghas
thinking
y cada
about things.
sangha tiene una
Gurudev
forma
said this,
diferente de hacer
my
cosas.
Gurudev said that, looked at it different,
Tu
all with
Gurudev lo
regard to
dijo así, bueno, mi
details
Gurudev
and
lo
so
dijo
on and so
así,
forth,
entonces
or nuances
tenemos
on the
más exposición a
philosophy.
diferentes detalles y matices de la filosofía como
So
aplicarla.
that's not the Siddhanta. So this is, we say it like this over here. There are some,
Entonces, se puede decir,
differences like
esto no es
this.
Siddhanta, nosotros lo decimos de esa
And
forma, con
we
respecto a ese punto.
get, I say nowadays because
Entonces dije,
when I was
hoy
young
día,
and
porque cuando yo
in
era
Prabhupada's
joven,
mission, there was no
en la
other mission.
misión de
His mission
Prabhupada no
was
había
so
ninguna otra misión.
was like the sun,
Era como el sol,
and blinding out any other light on
ciegando
the
a todo el
planet, even
mundo,
if there
no había
was any.
otro, no había otra realidad,
So there was no other way to think about it.
no había otra
In his
forma de
absence,
pensar en nada.
other lights became prominent at different times and so
Luego en
forth.
su
So you
ausencia,
can see they think
otras
about it
luces se
differently,
hicieron más
look at a
grandes
verse
y
slightly
uno
differently,
puede
different
pensar
nuance and
en
emphasis here and
cada
there, and
verso
so
de
on and
forma
so forth.
diferente
There's an advantage
y hay
to
una
that, and there's a
ventaja
disadvantage to
en
that as
esto
well,
y tanto como una
for
desventaja,
that kind of exposure. And it's
porque
an advantage if you're
ese
strong
tipo
enough,
de
healthy enough to be able to
exposición
digest
es bueno para nosotros si
the
tenemos la
differences and
fuerza
understand the relativity of them,
espiritual de
and
entender la relatividad de eso, de todo
and
eso.
incorporate some of them perhaps into your own being in a healthy
Inclusive
way without
podemos incorporar algunas de esas
departing
visiones en nuestra
from your own paribar and so forth.
práctica,
But
pero
I think that it's
pienso que
healthy and important
es
also to think
importante
that
y sano también
we think
pensar
like
que
this,
nosotros lo
and
pensamos así
we don't think there's a problem with that
y no
because
pensamos que hay un
our
problema con
guru
eso,
is
porque nuestro
such and
guru
such and so and so
es
on, and
tal,
this is where our
tal
conviction
persona
lies. And
y
you may
nuestra
think like
convicción
that, and
está
that's
con
okay,
él, tú
but
puedes
not to
pensarlo de
be
esa
not to be
forma, está
bothered by
bien,
that.
pero
I'm not going to be intimidated by
no
what
nos
some
vamos a
other
quedar en
sector of Gaudiya Vaishnavism thinks.
preocupados de lo que piensan las otras
Just a smaller
sectas
point, I
Vaishnavas.
guess, that
Es un punto
might
inferior
come up in relation to your question.
que a lo mejor va a ser tu
Of course, we
siguiente
can have two
pregunta
gurus too.
relacionada
That's
con
also a
eso. Y
possibility.
también podemos tener dos gurus más que un guru.
I have some disciples
Yo tengo unos discípulos
who were given Harinam by someone else, and I
que
gave the second
recibieron
initiation, or even vice
Harinam por
versa.
otra persona
in a
y yo
couple
les
of
di el
cases.
Gayatri o al revés en otros
So,
casos.
That'll be a little different. They'll hear a couple different ways, but then they have to think for themselves
Entonces se van a
about different points.
encontrar
But
entre dos
by and
visiones
large, anyway, I think,
diferentes
yeah,
y
we
tienen
don't
que
care what other
analizar.
people think.
Pero
We
en
care what our Guru
general no
Parampara
nos
thinks,
importa lo
what
que
our
digan los
Bhakti
demás.
Vinod Paribar
Nos
thinks,
importa lo
what
que diga nuestro
Chaitanya
Parampara y
Mahaprabhu says.
lo que dice Bhaktivinoda Thakur, lo que dice Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sobre todo.
All right.
¿Está bien?
Yeah, could I just ask one? Should we try, is part of sadhana trying to see ourselves through the eyes of Guru and Krishna?
Kishore
Should
dice,
we
deberíamos
like
vernos a través
see
de los
ourselves
ojos
that
del
way,
Guru
think
y
of
Krishna.
ourselves in
Yeah.
that way?
Sí.
Yeah, that would be good. Very good. Looks peaceful there at Madhuvan.
Parece muy pacífico allá en Madhuvan.
It is, yeah. We got a couple early rains, so things are quite green, but still nice and dry.
Wow.
Sí, llovió un par de veces, entonces
All right,
todo
well,
está
nice to talk with
muy
all of you.
verde, pero
And
sin embargo seco.
next week I'll be in Chile, so I don't think I'll
Bueno,
be
la
in
semana
touch.
que viene
Next
estaré
week
en
I'll be,
Chile, no
after
sé si
that I'll be in
estaré
Brazil, so
conectado,
maybe a couple weeks
luego en
before we get
Brasil,
back together again.
entonces va a ser
But I
unas
look forward
semanas
to
antes
my
que
visit. I look forward to coming
podamos
back. I look forward to getting together with you.
juntarnos otra vez.
So on. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki
Bueno,
jai.
Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki
Gaur
jai.
Premanande. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. So yeah,